Hi, Ap Psychology class. This is another video on hunger motivation, and today we're going to look at the psychosocial contributors to hunger motivation. Remember, we've already looked at some of the biological factors that contribute to hunger motivation, what drives us to eat and feel hungry and satisfy that hunger. Today's objective is slightly differently. We want to be able to describe social and psychological factors contributing to hunger motivation. For example, eating with friends. How do we eat differently when we are alone or with friends? And how does the external environment contribute to hunger motivation? Like the old advertisement here on vitamin donuts, how donuts can be really good for you. So advertisers have been around quite some time trying to pawn off more food on us. So let's take a look here at our next slide. And again, we're looking at the social psych aspects. So once we're done with this video, we should have a complete bio-psychosocial explanation for hunger motivation. And we're going to look real briefly at some research called external research. And basically this research focuses on the idea that some people are more motivated to feel hungry by the external cues in the environment. So they may see food out in the environment or smell food, and that literally changes their internal physiology to make them feel hungry. Probably the most well-known researcher here is Judith Rodin. She had several studies we'll talk about. An early one in 1976 at a girls' summer camp for young girls, probably age 7 to 11 or 12. After lunch, had the camp counselors put out bowls of M&Ms during the activity. I think it was arts and crafts or something like that. And this was after they ate, so they shouldn't have been hungry. And some of those girls regularly ate quite a bit of those M&Ms and gained an average of 5 or 6 pounds during that summer camp. So those girls who continued to eat the M&Ms would be identified as externals. They were motivated to eat by just the sight of food. So a nice little pile of M&Ms. After lunch, they kept eating. I might do that too, I guess. I like M&Ms. They are the perfect candy. Frozen is best, of course. So yeah, those girls gained weight, and quite a few of the girls did not because they just weren't hungry anymore. So they would be labeled as internals. In another study, I really found this one to be interesting. Subjects, again, this was a rodent study, I believe it was 81, had subjects fast for 18 hours, told they were going to have their BMR measured, I guess. And at noon, they came in and they were hooked up to take a blood sample. And as they did this, sizzling steaks were brought out on carts because they were told they were going to get lunch, steak, dinner, basically, and fries and the works. And for some of those subjects, their insulin levels shot up through the roof. Their insulin levels went way up, which we learned in the last video on biology. Remember, when insulin levels are high, what happens to glucose levels? They go down because insulin helps extract glucose for energy and extracts excess glucose for fat storage. So the subjects whose insulin shot way up when they saw those steaks, heard those steaks, and smelled those steaks, also ate more and ate longer and ate faster than those whose insulin levels did not rise. So, of course, the subjects whose insulin levels went way up, those would be labeled as externals. So the external environment here, seeing this ribeye steak on the grill, causes an internal biological change that leads to increased hunger. Some other psychological factors that contribute to hunger: time of day. I think Stanley Schachter was the first one that did a test on this, but wrote in again 1998, amnesiacs with no short-term memory for more than a minute or so were offered lunch, and then they were distracted, and researchers changed the clocks back to noon after about 20 minutes, and then the amnesiacs were offered lunch again, and they ate it. And then after about 20 minutes, they were distracted again, and the researchers turned the clocks back, and the amnesiacs saw it was lunch again, and they were like, I'm hungry, I need to eat lunch, so they ate again. So time of day does have an impact. When that lunch bell rings, probably during the day, or getting close to it, we may feel hungry, even though we don't need it, because our glucose levels are high enough. I was certainly a time of day eater when I was a kid. My mom had dinner early. She was a 5 o'clock or 5:30 dinner eater, and my wife's actually a late dinner eater. She's more content to eat at 6:37, 8 o'clock at night. So time of day does have an influence. Yeah. So emotions. Oh, another factor. We do seem to have this universal preference for sweets and salty foods, especially when we're sad or upset, and probably because those foods help boost serotonin, which makes us feel better. So when we're sad, we may feel a desire to eat some ice cream or some chocolate, as the stereotype goes, and that may boost our serotonin levels a little bit. Some other factors, neophobia, a term that you probably should know. This is a fear of novel foods, such as, deep fried scorpions. Yummy. That may cause us to feel, if we're offered that at a table one night and we don't expect it, that may cause us to feel a little bit uncomfortable. And this may be an adaptive evolutionary trait, that if we're not familiar with the food, that just like a stranger, if we're not familiar with somebody, we may feel anxiety and avoid that food, and it may be beneficial for us. Culture and family preferences, of course, have a big role. How you learned to eat as a child. Did you learn to eat well? Did you grow up on juice boxes and crackers and potato chips? Or did you grow up on very cultural specific foods? That's probably going to have an impact on what you grab when you're hungry or cook for dinner. And then social situations. Research shows that, and they fit people with special retainers that measured the speed with which we ate, how much food we ate, how hard we chewed our food. And there seems to be some evidence that shows we eat faster and eat more with friends. We also eat faster and eat more when food tastes good. So if you're a hyper taster, that may be problematic for you. But certainly when we're around other people, and this is especially true for women, not so much for men because guys just eat all the time anyway, but when women are around other women in social situations, they tend to eat more than they would if they were alone. And mere exposure effect. Let's remember observational learning here. Bandura. When we see other people eating food and enjoying it, we're more likely to do what the models do. And kind of a counter psychological effect to neophobia up here. Mere exposure effect says that we tend to demonstrate an increased liking or acceptance for stimuli or variables that we are consistently exposed to, whether that's a person, a piece of art, the way we rearrange our room, a new paint on a wall. If we just get used to it, just give it a couple weeks, we'll get used to it. Seems to be true for food as well. When we see other people eating food and we see it out a lot, and we see them enjoying it, we may be more likely to try it ourselves. So I am not a big sushi fan, but I know people who used to not be big sushi fans, and they've gone out to eat it several times with people who've eaten it, and then they've tried it, and they kind of get, developed a taste for it or flavor for it. So that's it for psychological impact. We will move on to eating disorders next time. So again, rewind, and we'll see you soon.